Welcome back. So, we are going to go over all of the discounted gold things in Enlisted for the current May sale. Now, obviously, the number one thing that you should look at is Premium Time. Premium Time is on sale on the website, I believe for 180 days, and it's on sale for gold in-game for 90 and a year. So, this is the best bang for your buck, better than anything else. Like, if you only want to spend, I don't know, a few bucks a month, because that's kind of what it comes out to, and you don't want to spend beyond that in Enlisted, this is where you're going to get the most bang for your buck. So, why is that? I mean, it says it all right here, but you research stuff faster. Because you get more research, that also means you get more silver, because silver's calculated off your XP. You also get more squad slots, and the reserve size doesn't really matter too much. The decals doesn't really matter too much. Even the presets, like, they're nice to have, but like really these first two are the big deal. Because you go from 3 squads to 5 squads, so you're almost doubling, you're not quite doubling the amount of squads you can take into battle. It gets you the ability to take a tank and a plane, whatever, right? Like, you get the idea. This is the best bang for your buck. Additionally, squad slots are on sale, so if you want to get permanent slots for your lineup, that is an option. It becomes more expensive with every slot that you get, and it's unique to each nation, so, you get the idea there. Moving on from there, we're going to start with USSR, and we'll work our way right. So, in the USSR, in special offers, we have the Lewis Gun Squad. I briefly talked about them earlier. The Lewis Gun's pretty good. Now that the DPM has moved down, it's probably less unique, but it is still the only Lewis Gun in the game. I think it's really cool. $39.50 is going to be a steep price point for getting a squad while everything else is at half. So, it's up to you. I like them a lot, though. I think they're really cool. Moving on from there, we have the BM824, and I'll actually try this one out just to show you. I do have this one. I like it, but it's very much so a niche vehicle. It just fires rockets. As you can see, it can't really look down well, so if your target's short, that might be a problem. It also isn't great against vehicles, but we're shooting mostly at low BR vehicles, so sometimes it works against them. Really, I take it as a meme vehicle, and I mostly take it to deal with infantry. But I think it's fun. It just doesn't rank highly on my list. I think it's one of those vehicles where if you want it, you already know that you want it. It's not something that, like, you need to go out of your way to get. Moving on from there, we have the KV-2. Now, once upon a time, the KV-2 would have had more value because there was a point in time for, I don't know, like 6 to 8 months where this was the only way to get the KV-2 in the game. However, nowadays, you're able to get the KV-2 in the tech tree, and it's right here behind the ZIS-5. Now, it's going to be BR4. The difference between the two is the shape of the turret, and the premium one has a machine gun, and that machine gun is going to give you value. I just don't know if it's going to give you 2,500 gold worth of value. Definitely, it will give you something to do while you reload, and the reload on this is a doozy. If you like playing BR4, or if you have enough other stuff to form a lineup around it, it can be worthwhile to have. It's just not something that I've ever picked up or thought was really necessary to pick up. Beyond that, everything else will work left to right in the tech tree. So, The PPT-27 is awesome. I originally have it from when it was in the Elite Starter back in the day. Basically, it has ridiculous fire rate and it has tiny magazines, which seems like it would be a problem, but you can look at it one of two ways, I guess. You can look at it like it pisses through ammo, and that may be a drawback to you, or you can look at it as an opportunity to train your trigger discipline and get good at burst firing these high rate of fire guns, because that's a skill that's going to be extremely important with Soviet SMGs and Russian machine, or with Soviet SMGs and with German machine guns if you decide to play Germany. I like it. It has a bolt hold open, which is kind of nifty for a gun as old as it is. I just think they're fun to use. It is a legacy premium squad, so you're getting 4 assaulters, and you'll have to add on your own engineer and your own AT soldier. You will have a choice. Technically, you can go 2 engineers. Personally, I would always go an engineer and an AT soldier, just because dealing with tanks is kind of a big deal, and I like to be able to pop tanks. Moving on from there, we have the BA-11. The BA-11 is cool, but I have a hard time recommending it. I picked it up back in the day because I figured, hey, I'll never be able to get this in War Thunder. Because at least back when I was playing War Thunder a lot and looking at it, and when I first got it in Enlisted, it was pretty expensive in War Thunder. These days it may not be, but I have one Enlisted. So it has the 45mm gun that you're going to see on a lot of other tanks around this BR for the USSR. Performance-wise, it does fine. You are a car, so, you drive like a car, not like a tank. So you have to, take that under advisement whenever you're moving around and the way that you move the vehicle. The gun itself performs fine, though. The real issue is your lack of armor. Like, if you're playing it at BR1 with a BR1 lineup, then it's pretty good. But the problem is you're not going to have any, staying power with it, because as soon as you research the T-50, and if you're pursuing tanks, you're going to get that pretty quickly, then you're just going to completely replace it. So, I personally wouldn't pick it up, but if you really like BR1, and you want to play a BR1 lineup, it's not bad. Moving on from there, there's the Mosin 44L. This is another one that came from the Elite Starter for me. This was the Berlin squad for it back in the day. Now, I personally would not pick this one up either. The issue with rifleman squads right now is that they haven't gotten any sort of legacy pass the way that a lot of other squad types have. So what you're getting is 9 riflemen, which is fine, but I would be happier if they had an engineer and an AT soldier. It's not like they 100% need it. Like, they're all going to come with explosive packs, for example. And your AI can throw them now, and you can also just switch between all your AI and throw them. So, it's never been an issue to take out tanks that you can get near, but at the same time, I would like to have something other than just 9 riflemen. It could be 7 riflemen and a radio operator and an engineer, and a machine gunner. It doesn't really matter to me what they give them. I just feel like they need something other than 9 riflemen. The other issue that they're specifically going to run into is that the M44L is basically the M44 carbine, which is basically the M38 carbine. So it's really easy to get these, and it's really easy to upgrade them quickly because they're not very expensive weapons. So I would personally avoid it. There is some merit to it in that you can take a 9-man rifleman squad and you can sustain them by getting rid of their backpacks and taking an extra primary weapon. And so you can give them all SVT 38s, or you can give them all AVT 40s or whatever. And so technically they can have some longevity, and a 9-man squad is going to give you, like, staying power on objectives and whatnot. I just personally don't really care for them. I don't know, it is what it is. Moving on, we have one of the most unique squads in the game. We have the Soviet Female Medic Squad. The gun that they have, the PPSH-42, is pretty good. It's pretty competitive with all of the other SMGs at BR2 in the Soviet tech tree, and the Soviets have probably the best BR for BR SMGs in the game at BR2. So it's shooting 600, I think, when it's fully upgraded. This isn't showing fully upgraded because it's annoying, but they shoot 530 unupgraded. I think it's like a little over 600 or right around 600 when they're fully upgraded, which they will be when you pick up the squad. They have 35 round magazines. Generally speaking, my experience with them has been pretty good. The real downside of them isn't the gun. Like, the gun will go toe-to-toe with anything the Germans throw at you very comfortably. The issue with them is that there's only 4 medics in the squad. So they've done a pass over assault squads twice. They did a pass over machine gun squads, and they did a pass over engineers. But they haven't touched medics. So unfortunately, most medic squads I just have a really hard time recommending. They can't take backpacks because they've got a medic box. They can't take a second gun because they've got a medic box. Like, there's not as many of them. Like, there's only one more in this squad than there is in a motorcycle squad. And they get a motorcycle, and I still don't recommend them, so I think that this squad is worth it if you want something unique and niche and really cool, but from a competitive standpoint, I don't think that they actually bring anything of value. I think you'd be better off just running your tech tree assault squads and guerrilla squads. Moving on from there, there's the Su-76. I love the Su-76. It's a fantastic vehicle. To me, this is the staple of what, and the example of what every tank destroyer in the game should be. Basically, it's at BR2. If you wanted a similar tank, like closed top with a turret tank with a similar gun, you'd have to go to BR3. There's nothing else like it at BR2. You've got the T-28 at BR2, you've got the T-50. Actually, the T-50 might even be BR1. It's BR1 or BR2, it doesn't really matter. But the point is, everything either has a short version of the gun, so it doesn't have pen, it's like a anti-infantry, like howitzer, or it has a higher velocity small gun, like the T-50's 50mm or 45mm or whatever it has. This is a proper 76mm AT gun that can also use HE that will kill infantry, it will kill tanks. The only downside is that you're open-topped, but you're open-topped in such a way that for the most part, your crew's not going to get taken out from the front. Also, a lot of the lower BR Russian maps offer you good sightlines where you don't have to get really close to the objectives. You can sit up on a hill, or you can sit across a river, or you can sit somewhere a little bit further back and take advantage of the good properties of this tank without exposing the bad properties of the tank. Now, if you get into, like, Stalingrad, then you might have some trouble because, buildings and Molotovs raining down on you. But generally speaking, my experience has been good. It's just you're open-topped, so if a bomb misses you, part of your crew very well might be dead. So you just take it under advisement. I think that that having this gun outweighs that, though. So if you want a low BR vehicle for Russia, I highly recommend this. The PPD-44 I don't personally have. This is another legacy squad, so 4 assaulters. You can add on an AT soldier or engineer, and you can add on an engineer. I think their guns are really interesting, though. Traditionally, most Soviet submachine guns focus very heavily on fire rate. This one does not. It's 550 base. It's probably like 600, 620, something like that. Once it's upgraded. they're hitting at 5.5, so they're probably hitting close to like 6.3, something like that. The thing with them, though, is that they have a 71-round drum. So the competing gun at this BR for Russia is the PPSH. Now, the PPSH shoots at like 1150, and it has a 35-round stick mag, so you're basically getting half-ish of the ammo, but you're shooting a lot faster. If you go down a BR, the PPS-43 and the Oregon are both shooting like 750, 800, somewhere in that range, and they have 35-round magazines, right? So the real benefit to this gun is that you're getting capacity. And whether or not that's worth it for the fire rate trade-off is really going to be up to you. Now, the Germans at BR3 are going to field things like the ZK, which has like a 32-round mag and fires at like 800 rounds a minute. They're going to have like the 40-round mag on the Beretta M38 and shoot at like 600, 650, something like that. So this is going to be pretty competitive fire rate-wise to your average German SMGs. It might be a little bit lower, but unless you're running into exclusively ZKs, which you probably won't be, you'll probably still see a lot of MP40s. You'll still see the MP35, which personally I think is the weakest of their BR3 SMGs, but you know, it is what it is. But the point is, you should be right around the German fire rate, but you're going to have double the ammo of what the Germans have. So it's going to be effective for clearing rooms, because you won't have to duck into a corner and reload. And so I think that they're probably worthwhile, but I don't personally have them. With the caveat that you're going to have two guys that don't have this gun in the squad, which sometimes I actually look at it as a positive. Like, a lot of premium guns are good, and they're the reason why I want to use a squad. So sometimes it kind of sucks when you don't have 5 or so guys using the premium gun, but at the same time, it makes your squad more varied and able to handle different challenges. Like, giving these guys a pair of SVT 38s or whatever, it's going to give them better ability to reach out and touch people if you're on a map where you're not just running trench to trench or building to building. So I think they're like a middle-of-the-road squad. Moving on from there, the AK-9K, I'm actually seriously looking at grabbing one of these, so if I do, expect something about it in the near future. But I don't personally have it right now. The Yak 9K is a pretty cool plane. It's very similar in concept to the HS-129 in the German tech tree, and to the new ME-262 Narwhal. Basically, it's a plane with a relatively large caliber gun for a plane, and in this case it's a 45mm cannon. At least in the test flight, it seems like it's probably going to do just fine taking out planes, but since I don't have it, I can't tell you for certain that it deals with planes well. I'm sure that it will deal with bombers, though. But what I can tell you, and we can even go in and try it out, is that shooting at tanks, because it has APHE on it, it does particularly well. Now, the downside to a plane like this is that it's only really going to be good at dealing with tanks, and most of the time, if you're running into lots of infantry, you're not going to get the same kind of benefits that you would. Like, your teammates need to be marking tanks, or you need to be going into the air already knowing that there's a tank, and where it is, and, you know, what you want to do with it. You get the idea. I'm doing kind of a bad show of this, to be entirely honest. When I flew this thing in a test flight earlier, when I was looking at it, I think I took out the first 2 tanks that I looked at. So, I mean, you can take my word for it being good, or you can look at my actual performance and be like, wow, this guy's an idiot. He'd be right either way. There we go. So we went right through the roof of that tank and killed it. We did take out the breach on the first Panther we shot at, and I did kill a Tiger II-H in a test flight of this earlier. you're just going to have to play around with it and get comfortable with the way that... There we go. With the way the gun performs. It's a relatively agile plane, though. 2,500 gold isn't nothing, though. Like, it's still going to be a pretty steep ask, but if you're looking for a plane, if you like flying in this game, I actually think it's probably a pretty decent pickup. It's just, if you're going to pick it up, understand that there are going to be lots of instances where having bombs would be much more useful than having this plane. That's just kind of the way it is. That's really what I've been asking myself, because at the same BR, because it's BR3, you can get the IL-2 37, which the 37s on this, in my experience, don't do too great against tanks. Like, if you get the right angle, they work, but most angles, they don't. But it gets 250 kilo bombs, and this is traditionally my favorite attack plane in the Soviet tech tree. It's IL-2M. And this gets rockets, it gets bombs, you can take out infantry, you can take out tanks. With the 23s, you can shoot down other planes. It's relatively mobile, like agile, I guess is what I'm looking for. It's not particularly fast. But I like the IL-2M so much that I've not picked up the Ak-9K before, because I feel like it's kind of pigeonholed into a niche. So, I think it's probably worth getting. It's just a plane that's worth getting if you understand the limitations of it, and you find it interesting within that niche. Like, it'll be a great tank hunter. The problem is you need to know where the tanks are. Moving on from there, there's the SKT-40. The SKT-40 is an interesting squad. So, it's a sniper squad. Sniper squads generally I value fairly highly because they're the only way to get 5 snipers in a squad in the game. In a tech tree sniper squad, you can have 3. In a paratrooper squad, you can have 2. These guys get 5, which is nice. One of them is going to be an engineer. 4 of them are normal snipers. All in all, they're going to be pretty decent. Now, the downside to this squad is that there's a similar gun to this in the tech tree at this BR and the BR after this. And in addition to that, your squad's all dressed in white from head to toe. Like white helmets, white cloaks. Like, you're going to stand out like a sore thumb almost everywhere. There's just not a good map at this point with tons of snow. And I really hope we get one at some point where everything is covered in snow, where you are trudging through like knee to thigh deep snow, and these white uniforms really do become useful. But thus far we don't have that. Like, Rzhev has snow, but it also has tons of rubble and water. Stalingrad has snow, but it's also a ton of buildings. Moscow has snow, but it's also tons of dirt and trees. So, I don't know. Generally speaking, though, it's pretty easy to use this gun. You can get on target pretty well. They're relatively accurate. And you've got this fun little hole that you can peek through. Now, the downside is that you don't get the zoomed-in aim with that, like you would if you only had the iron sights. But it's good enough, and you still get most of your vision. But like I was saying before, the SVT-38, the SVT-38 is going to be available in the tech tree, and it's going to perform very similarly. Like, when it's fully upgraded, I think they both fire at 350. They both do like 13.2 or 3 or whatever damage. They all have 10-round mags. And the thing is, once you go up to BR4, then you get the SVT-40, and again, it's basically the same gun, so I don't know. The damage might be slightly lower on the SVT-38 than the SVT-40, and I think the SVT-40 and the SKT-40 have the same damage, but, like, it's gonna be close. I think IRL, effectively, what the SKT is just a short version of the SVT, and then they basically use the same scope and all that. if you want a sniper squad, they're probably worthwhile. It's another squad, though, that this isn't you need to pick it up immediately. So moving on from there, we have the Parkerized PPSHs. See, this squad's going to be a weird one. If you're progressing through the Soviet tech tree, and you have other stuff to play at BR5, like you've got event squads, or you're going to pick up a whole premium lineup, well, then this squad might have value to you. But if you're somebody who's already, like, knee-deep in the Russian tech tree, the squad doesn't really have value. Now, they're cool because they're naval infantry, and they have these neat little sailor uniforms, but at the end of the day, this is a PPSH, and you can just get a PPSH in the tech tree. And this is no different than that PPSH. So, for me, this is a hard pass. It doesn't bring anything to the table. Unless, you come in here and you have, like, 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever, however many squads you run that are all premium or event or whatever, that are already at BR5, but you have tons of stuff to research in the tech tree. And you're very far from getting to the PPSH in the tech tree. That's the only case that I would look at it. Moving on from there, we have the P63. The P63 is kind of interesting. It has a 37mm cannon in the nose, and it carries a 250 kilo bomb, and it has 250 cal machine guns. It's BR4, which I think is a little bit unfortunate. I think if it was BR3, it would have a lot more value to it. That's not to say that I think it's going to be bad at BR4. It's just, I don't know, it kind of splits the difference between, like, a Yak 9K and an IL-2 37. Like, the gun isn't going to be as good, right? It's going to have more similar performance to the IL-2's 37. It'll do fine against planes, though. And the 50 cals will do fine against planes. But, it gets the bomb that the Yak 9 doesn't. It's going to be more fighter-worthy, so a little bit zippier, pretty agile, like a fighter. It's probably not a bad pickup if you need a plane to play at BR4 or 5, and you don't have anything to fly in the tech tree. The thing is, I feel like you can get planes pretty early in the Russian tech tree that even if you bring them into BR5, are going to at least be effective in showing up, doing one pass, and then crashing. So, like, the very first plane you get, the I-153, it comes with 8 RBS-82 rockets, which, as long as you can get to the battlefield, you can do damage with that. Plus, it's super maneuverable. It has one of the best turn times in the game. The Hurricane also brings in, 6 rockets. The standard IL-2 is going to come in with 8 rockets and 4 bombs, right? Like, these are all very quick and early planes to get, so even if you don't want to grind the plane tree, like, let's say you played through the whole game because you like tanks and you played the Russian tech tree, but you just didn't bother with planes, right? You can get a good enough plane down here that you can bring into BR3 or BR4 or BR5, and are you going to dominate the sky? No. But you're going to bring enough that I don't know if it's really worth getting the P63. Because I wouldn't go and get, like, a one-off BR4 or 5 premium unless you had other things to play with at BR4 or 5. And the thing is, most of the event squads that I'm thinking of for Russia are BR5. So I know that they don't have another premium plane up there, but I don't know. This is probably in that mid category where if you picked it up, you're probably not going to be disappointed with it. But at the same time, you're going to be running into jets, so it's not like you're going to dominate the skies, whenever you get up-tiered. And whenever you get down-tiered, you might dominate the skies. You're definitely going to have a good bomb for dealing with tanks and infantry concentrations. I don't know, it's such a, forgettable plane for me. I think the Yak 9K is more exciting, probably because it's more niche. Moving on from there, we have the T-34-85E. It's a T-34-85. This is basically for if you want a premium tank. Most premium tanks are going to do well enough. I actually do want to test drive this just to confirm that the commander can see in front of the tank. Okay, so yes, the commander can in fact see in front of the tank. The downside is that you can't lean your head out because you have a little cope cage on the roof. As far as I know from my experience running into these, the little mesh cage doesn't actually save you from Offenrohrs or Panzerfausts. Your mileage may vary, but I don't think I've ever shot at one and not killed it. Certainly the more exciting one, because these are both BR4, is going to be the KV-2. Like the T-34-85, you get 2 of them in the tech tree. Again, it's a BR4 vehicle, so like I wouldn't just buy a BR4 tank unless you also had other stuff here that you were going to play with. Like if you just researched like BR4 and you're ready to start into BR4 and you haven't really done the tanks, yeah, okay, maybe there's some merit to picking up the T-34-85. Or if you've got most of the tech tree done and you just didn't play tanks, then okay, maybe. I think the KV-2 is more exciting, but we talked about it earlier and its drawbacks. Just to recap, it has a machine gun over the tech tree model, but you can get it in the tech tree minus the machine gun, and free is a lot less than 2,500 gold, so that's my 2 cents. Moving on from there, this is the single best squad in the game for any nation bar none. And it's not even close. This is the model that I wish every paratrooper squad in the game would follow, but they don't. So, what is this squad? This is the Soviet Premium Paratrooper Squad. What's special about them over everybody else? Number 1, they're paratroopers. It means that they can show up on demand anywhere in the map and be there within like 20 seconds. They have a box. They can open up that box and they can pull out an assault kit, an AT kit, a mortar kit, or a recon kit. The assault kit gives you extra health kits, like med kits, and it gives you 3 machine gunners. The AT kit gives you 3 AT soldiers with launchers, or AT rifles. It gives you AT mines. The mortar kit gives you an engineer, 2 mortars, and I think that's it. They might get some extra grenades or something. And the recon kit gives you a radio operator, 2 snipers, and it gives everybody AP mines. They scale to your BR, and that's the important part here. These guys are not tied to one premium primary. They can equip virtually any primary in the Russian tech tree. They can equip any rifle, SMG, I think any shotgun, and they can equip the assault rifles. So what that effectively means is that you can customize them however you want. They're good at BR1, they're good at BR2, they're good at BR5, they're good at every BR. You can give half of them SMGs and half of them rifles if you want to have a mix of like close range and ranged. You can give them all SMGs, that's usually what I do, to make them more of an assault group. You can give them all rifles and play them more at ranged. The world is your oyster. You can do whatever you want with them. They're amazing. And the best part is, you can bring them at every BR. So if you're just starting the Soviet tech tree, you can pick these guys up, and you can slot them in your BR1 lineup and play them alongside everything else. And then, once you've researched the whole tech tree, and you have everything that Russia has to offer, they will still be there with you. And when they come out with something else for the Russians that's better than the AS-44 or the AVT, you'll be able to put that on them too. Like, they are an evergreen squad that's good at every BR. They're just the best. This is the number 1 squad. If I was just looking to pick something up in the sale and I wasn't committed to any nation and I didn't have them, this is the squad I would pick up. If I'm a Soviet player, this is the squad I would pick up. TLDR, best squad in the game. Pick them up. Now, moving on from there, there's the SU-100. I do have the SU-100. It's a cool vehicle, The 100 mil gun performs pretty well. You can deal with most threats with it. It deals decently against infantry. The problem with it is it's on the Su-85 chassis. So you're mobile enough, but you're kind of short. Russian guns don't really like looking down too well, and that's not as much of an issue because you're short, and a lot of the maps you're going to get into are cities, but sometimes if you're in like Rzhev with hills and whatnot, it can be a little bit of an issue. The bigger issue is sometimes you want to shoot over something and your gun is right at the height of what you want to shoot over. And the other issue is that your armor is basically worthless at this BR. So it's going to be a very he who sees first and shoots first wins kind of engagement. But you have a good enough gun that as long as you know the enemy tanks and you know where to shoot at them, you should do alright. But I have a hard time just recommending it outright because it's a hull-locked tank destroyer, and I don't know, like the gun is good, but the chassis just doesn't really cut it for me. If it bounced more shots, like if the armor was stronger, I think I would recommend it, but it's just okay. Like, I think I would rather have it than the T-34-85, and I'd probably prefer it to the KV-2. Like, it's definitely bringing something more unique than either of those two are bringing, and tier for tier power-wise, I think that it's more reliable than the KV-2 is, but I don't know. It's a tank destroyer. You gotta like tank destroyers, and if you don't like tank destroyers, then you're not gonna have a good time with it. Finally, we have the belt-fed DP. This used to be BR5, and it just recently moved down from BR5 to BR4, which, very questionable. I think it was really good at BR5. I think it's going to be disgusting at BR4, and woe be he who's BR3 and has to face this. Like, obviously it bounces around a bit. It's a big machine gun, but like, if you want to clear some trenches, you're not going to have any trouble. If you go prone, it doesn't move. You can just mow them down. If you get the right perks on it, then you can deal with things at distance pretty well with it. The only thing that it doesn't really have going for it is fire rate. I think it's something in the neighborhood of like 600, 650. I don't know. I like them. I like them a lot. I use them. Especially at BR4, where there's really nothing else like it. Because the DPM moved down to BR3, and it used to kind of compete with it. The DT-29's there, and it's got like 44 or no, 63 rounds. There you go. It's 63 rounds, so it's like 2/3 of the way there for ammo. But I don't know. I like the belt-fed DP. Plus, they have these cool camo smocks, and if you add an AT soldier with an Offenrohr, then one of your guys looks like he's ready to go clean up Chernobyl, which is super cool. So I like them. If I were brand new and I was picking up a premium lineup for Russia, realistically you have like 2 routes to go. You can either go the high BR route or the low BR route. If you go low BR, you can pick up the paratroopers, the PPT, and honestly I'd probably stop there. But you could then either pick up the BA-11 or the Mosin, or you could pick up the Su-76 and just play the paratroopers at BR2 and just play up the assault squad. Like, these guys do alright. It doesn't really matter where you put them. They just have kind of small magazines, but their fire rate makes up for that. If you went the high route, then you could do the belt-fed DP, the paratroopers, and then, like, pick your poison of tank. The Su-100 probably would be my first choice, but you can do the KV-2 as well, or the T-34-85. It's up to you. Moving on to America. So, the thing with America, I think some of their better squads are not always available, and I think some of their better squads are only available for dollar redos. Because I don't think the Colt Monitor is just normally available. But we'll go over what is. So, motorcycle's a motorcycle. Completely dodge me with that. I would not recommend a motorcycle for anybody, for any nation. The reason being, it's a three-man squad, and I just see no value in a three-man squad. Like, I barely see value in the four medic squad. I just don't like squads that are smaller than, like, 6. Like, 5 is pushing it for, like, guerrillas. But the guerrilla perk of being able to go into the gray zone is so good that I'm willing to give up the soldier tax for it. But generally speaking, if the squad is less than 5, I can't recommend it. And if it's less than 6, then it's got to be a really good squad. So fuck the bikes. Cannot stand them. Moving on from there, we have the P51 C10. So this one's cool from a historical standpoint. Because these are, red tails. You've got your colored flyer, right? They're a very, very, very famous air group that did crazy things during the war. And from a historical standpoint, big worth. The problem is, in game, if you're looking for a plane specifically to be a fighter, to shoot at other planes, this is going to be great. It's a P-51. Can't go wrong with a P-51. I think it's one of the early war ones, so 450 cals. The problem here is that it only gets 2 100-pound bombs, and you may as well be throwing hand grenades out of the cockpit. And the thing is, I have a hard time recommending fighters most of the time, unless they also bring something to the table that allows them to deal with ground targets, because sure, there's going to be other people flying planes on the other side from time to time, and sometimes they call in bombers and you can just farm a points pinata, but a lot of the time there's just no one in the air, or the guy who is in the air on the other team spawned in and he's nosediving at a tank and he's going to hit the ground right next to his bomb and go back to being on the ground. So I probably wouldn't get it, but I acknowledge that there's a lot of historic value in this squad, similar to the female medic squad for the USSR. And if you don't mind that you're only good at dealing with other planes, then this could be a good squad for you. It's just, you have to go into it knowing that all you're able to do is kill planes. Okay, I have made videos before, like, you can kill a Tiger II with these 100-pound bombs. Okay, if you're very accurate and you're on point, right? But, like, it's not as fun as just flying in and dropping, like, 1,000-pound bomb and just killing a dozen people in a hole that are hiding in Tunisia. Just to give an example. Moving on from there, we have this engineer squad. So engineers were recently updated, so they'll be able to add on either an extra engineer or an AT soldier. Don't ask me why you would want a 5th engineer instead of the AT soldier, but it's an option. They also come with a poster for whatever that's worth to you. Now these guys are BR2. I actually think that they're pretty interesting. They have these 5-shot semi-auto rifles, which I think they're probably fine. I think the damage on them is pretty similar to what you're going to see in any other semi-auto rifle, like the Fedorovs that the Russians just got, or even it should be close to the BR3 M1 Garands for the Americans. I mean, the sight's not my favorite, but it's not awful, but it's a very usable gun, and at a 5-man squad, like, it's a little bit on the small side, but this is kind of what you get when you get these engineer squads. Since they can get an AT soldier, I think they're fine. If you want to fill out a lineup, sure. So they're neat. I think they'd be fine to pick up if you need to fill out a lineup, or if if you're just progressing through the tech tree. The nice thing with them is that they're proper semi-auto rifles, and if you look at the tech tree at BR2, you're only going to get the M1 carbine. You don't have like a proper semi-auto rifle yet. You just have like a small caliber. So moving on from there, there's the Matilda. I have the Matilda. I've had it since Tunisia was a campaign. It's okay, like, I wouldn't recommend it personally, unless you really like the British. I don't know, like, the 40-pounder isn't great for dealing with infantry. Like, you pretty much have to hit their feet. The machine guns on it are fine. Or the machine gun. I forgot if it has one or two. I think it's got one. Yeah, it's just got the one up there in the turret. It does alright at dealing with other tanks at the same BR. It does have armor. Having 75 mils of armor on the front is nice. The problem is you're slow. And at the end of the day, armor doesn't matter if somebody drops a bomb on you or if infantry start throwing explosive packs at you. So, it's okay, but it's also entirely forgettable. Moving on from there, there's the Hurricane Mark IV squad. I've never heard anything good about it. I don't have it. I will do a test flight of it, but I don't have it, and I've never heard anybody say that they liked it. I imagine it does fine at shooting down bombers. I imagine it's probably okay at shooting at other player planes, but it's not great for shooting at infantry, and I mean, we took out the engine on that. That's a relatively heavy tank down there. I don't know, let's try going after some of the small stuff. It's certainly maneuverable enough and slow enough that you can spend a decent amount of time above the target, and you can recover even if you get pretty close to the ground. Let me just grab another one, be quicker. So, I don't know, you can probably test fly it for yourself and see what you think, but I feel like the guns are spaced out pretty far. It seems like it's probably fine against planes. I don't know. It's not really my thing. You might like it. It seems kind of similar in concept to the Ac-9, just at a lower BR and with, you know, worse performance and guns that are spaced out too far. Finally, there's the UD-42 squad. I briefly went over these earlier. Now, the number one problem is that they're a full-price squad at, like, 4,200 gold, which is kind of a lot. They do have a lot of fire rate, though. And they do have a pretty quick reload.
Reloading.
I don't know, like, tentatively, I want to say that I like them. Like, if I had them, I feel like I would use them a lot. The downside is that their magazines are kind of small. The upside is that they have a lot of fire rate, and I kind of like having the fire rate. The thing is, because of the recent BR changes, they're now competing against the M1A1 Thompson, so I don't know. The M1A1 Thompson's really good. The Lanchester's also pretty good. The Owen has fire rate, but it's, you know, it's kind of whatever. And then the issue before then is that, like, the Rising sucks. The Sten is good, but it's, I don't know, it just doesn't feel good. Like, it is good, it just, I don't know. And the grease guns are good, but they have low fire rate. They have high damage, though. But now that they have the Thompson has good fire rate, and it has good damage. Like, it's going to do more damage than anything other than the grease guns, and it's going to fire faster than everything except for the Owen. So, I don't know, man. The UD, it doesn't do as much damage because they're smaller caliber guns, because they're 9mm. I think it does like 5.7 base. You might be able to get it up to like 6 once it's fully upgraded, but this is going to be doing damage similar to like the Sten or the Lancaster. The problem is everything else is going to have more ammo than you, except for maybe the Owen. It is a 5-man squad. You will be able to tack on a 6th guy as an AT soldier or an engineer. It's going to have 4 assaulters with SMGs. It's going to have an engineer with an SMG. So, I don't think that it's a bad squad. I think the problem is that it's not discounted. And if it was discounted, I think it would be a worthwhile squad to pick up for grinding the tech tree. I just don't think it's worth it when you could pick up, like, almost 2.5 of these Winchester squads, or, like, any of these 3 squads, right? Yeah, I don't know, because you could pick up both of these squads, and then still have 1,000 left over to go and pick up, like, the Sten squad. I don't know, man. So, moving on from there. There's the Sten squad. They're BR1. They have these neat little welded Stens. I do have them, but I haven't played with them very much because I don't play a ton of BR1. But when I've picked them up in-game, they seem fine. Yeah, they don't seem inaccurate or anything. And they have 32-round magazines. They do have a little bit of horizontal recoil that probably could be cleaned up. I mean, they're only listed at 18. That's going to go down, so... Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a fine gun. It's a 4-man assault squad. You can add on a tech tree engineer, and you can add on a tech tree engineer or AT soldier. Your preference. I would do AT soldier. The downside is being BR1. If you're brand new, you're going to have to research those to add them onto the squad. So you're going to have to play a little bit with it without those, but you'll be able to add them on, so... I don't know, it's a pretty good squad. Compared to the Russian one, like, this squad follows the same format. I think this squad is better, but I don't think that this is a bad squad. Certainly, I think that they're better than the next squad we're going to look at, the M55 Rising. Now, this is a 5-man medic squad. It has an engineer, 4 medics, they all have Risings. You cannot add anybody else onto the squad, and I don't recommend them. Why? Number 1, I don't like the Rising. It's just all over the place. 32 horizontal recoil is atrocious. Even after it's buffed and it goes down to like 20 whatever, it still just feels like crap. Like, it's usable. I've had them since the Pacific came out, and like, I grinded out most of the Pacific Tech Trees America running around with these guys. They're just not my thing. Especially because you don't get a backpack slot, you don't get a second weapon slot. They're all medics. Like, they can patch up your teammates, but you have to do that manually. You can put down the boxes so that your teammates can get more med packs, which is useful, but I think adding a medic to another squad as a single medic is useful. I think bringing a whole squad of medics is not. The only, like, good thing going for them is their price, which at $9.75 is honestly pretty good bang for your buck. But the Stens, I think, are, in my experience, better, and I would just rather have the Stens. They're an assault squad. Moving on, BR2. We have the AC-1. This is going to be another 40-pounder. It's another Commonwealth tank. I assume Australian, but you never know. Say anything about them? They were in New Guinea. I don't know, there's some sort of Commonwealth tank group. Regardless, They have the AC-1. It's got less armor than the Matilda. It says the max speed's 48. I assume the Matilda's slower. I don't really have a whole lot of experience with the AC-1. Yeah, the Matilda goes 24. My god. I mean, we'll test it, but generally speaking, I probably wouldn't recommend it just because of its gun performance. Like, it should go through whatever you shoot it at, which, I mean, it probably went through that since it's basically just air with some sheet metal. Yeah, there you go. It should go through most tanks that we see. The problem is it's firing solid shot AP, as many allied tanks tend to do. Actually, I don't think we're going to go through at that angle, but we can probably get, yeah, we can get the side of the turret. We can probably get the side of the tank there, too. Just can't get the front plate at this angle. Can't stick the commander's head out either, can, oh no, we can. Cool. I don't know. The thing is, things like the Chaffee exist, so probably a miss for me. Moving on from there, we'll come back to this one, because I want to compare another tank. So this is also BR2. Now, you have the Matilda, the AC-1, and you have the Chaffee, the M24. Of all of them, this is the one that I well, I have the Matilda too, but I have this one and I recommend this one. Why? Because this has a 75mm M6 cannon. And having a 75 at BR2 is really nice. Now the downside is that you don't have armor. Like, you have 25 mils on the front, but I've been killed by heavy machine guns in this tank. Like, the kind that machine gunners can build, I've gotten killed by those in this tank. So, are you safe? No, not really. But you have a gun that's going to do pretty well against infantry, which is what I care about. Also, it's got, 75 mil solid shot, so you can go through the German tanks, just don't expect to kill them in one shot, and they may shoot back and do quite a bit of damage to you because, you don't have explosive filler in your shells, so, you kind of have to put a shell through each guy in the tank. You win some, you lose some. You also have multiple machine guns. You get the one on the turret and the one on the roof. I don't think the one on the hull actually works, but maybe I'm wrong. At least I've never seen it fire. But having the 50 cal on the roof is nice. You can put your head out and shoot. I can test drive it just so you can see it. It's pretty mobile. It will go through basically anything that you shoot it at. You've got the 50 cal, which is nice. Should be able to go through the front of most German tanks, which is also really nice. Just like I said, you're probably not going to blow them up in one shot because you have no explosive filler. Yay! But we do have 75mm HE, and so you should be able to blast away whatever infantry you see without having to shoot them in their little toesies. So, moving on from there, we have the Turner SMLE. This is a radio squad. It is an older radio squad. It's not super old, but it's older. So, what does that mean? Well, all the most recent ones are rocket artillery. This is not a rocket artillery squad. What these guys do is they bring, in my opinion, one of the better BR3 semi-auto rifles to the table, the Turner SMLE, and they bring one engineer and 4 radio operators, and they can call in all of the things that aren't rocket artillery. So, what is the stock button? I don't know. It doesn't really matter. They can call in whatever they want. That's why we have to wait. as you can see, pretty good semi-auto rifle, reloads into stripper clips. You can do a half reload. I like them. And you can call in artillery, smoke, supply drops, and airstrikes. So you can do all of the things.
Copy that. Deploying smoke screen.
And as I said, you get all of your little squatty doos. So 1 engineer, 4 radio operators. I've had them since Tunisia. They were great in Tunisia. I still think they're pretty good. Every once in a while, I'll bring them into a BR5 game. Because most of them are radio operators, you can just give them a second gun, since radio operators have a radio on their back. They can't take a backpack. But what they can do is take a T-20 or an M2. So, I like them. If you're at BR3, about to get to BR3, or you're picking up a lineup, they're not bad. Moving on from there, we have the FP5. This is a very good plane. You're looking at 650 cals, you're looking at 16.1 turn time, which is pretty good. You can take off and land on the carrier, which, taking off on the carrier kind of sucks. But if you're in Europe, then you get an air spawn, so that's nice. You get 4 HVAR rockets, which are really good. You can fire them all independently, so you can hit 4 different targets. And you also get a drop tank, which isn't great for killing stuff, but it's good for area denial. So, we can show them off. So, as I said, a bunch of 50 cals, which is nice to have. You get your HVARs. Boom, 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 boom. And you have your little fuel tank that you can drop off and light the ground on fire. And it's supposed to make the ground burn for a while. I don't know why I didn't do it down there, but there it is. I guess we just weren't close enough to see it. But yeah, it lights the whole area on fire. It's kind of like a big Molotov. Basically, it's good area denial, and then anybody who's stuck in it obviously is lit on fire. So, it's not a huge area, but it's a lot bigger than you're going to get with a Molotov. I like them, though, mostly because of the HVARs, because HVARs are really good at killing infantry, and I like killing infantry. Moving on from there, we have the Churchill. I actually just picked this one up this sale because BR3 no longer has to see BR5. They're locked to either playing up to BR4 or down to BR2, and basically, I haven't tested this yet, but what I'm betting on is that BR4 is constantly going to get up-tiered to BR5, so BR3 is going to see BR2 a lot. In which case, the Churchill should be awesome. If it plays up, Panthers are going to obliterate this thing, and the one Tiger that it can run into is going to obliterate it, and it's also slow as shit. But it has a 57mm cannon, which should do okay against infantry. It has machine guns, which should also do really well against infantry. The nice thing about the Bessa machine guns, in my experience, is that they don't overheat very quickly, because the fire rate's kind of low. So they're pretty decent for picking off infantry. See? You can shoot them forever. Regardless, it does have solid shot AP, which is not ideal. But, I'm kind of betting on 57mm HE being okay and doing a little bit more than just hopping people's feet off. But, yeah, I don't know. Seems like it'll be a neat tank to try out, if nothing else. It's certainly unique. There's no other British heavy tanks in the game at this point. You know, Black Prince Wen, Carnarvon Wen. But, I don't know. I look forward to using it more. I will review it whenever I have a decent number of games under my belt. I recognize that it's not going to be for everybody. And like I said, the main reason why I picked it up is because I'm gambling that I'm going to see more down tiers than up tiers at BR3. If I'm playing into BR4 constantly, and I'm having to play it into, like, Panther Gs and Tiger H1s, and, like, I don't know, Panzer IV-H it should do okay against as long as we angle it a little bit, but, like, the Panther and up are going to be problematic for it. So we'll see. I don't know if I would, like, recommend it to a normal player that doesn't have anything else in the tech tree, but if you're looking for something neat and different, maybe. Now, on the opposite end of the spectrum, we have the Mosquito, which I would recommend to pretty much anybody. I don't personally have it because I'm pretty deep into the American-British tech tree. Like, I have the whole tech tree, basically. So, it doesn't have as much value for me, especially because I've got, like, event planes and whatnot. But if I was just starting out and I was making a BR3 lineup, this would be on it. Why, you might ask? Because it has two 500-pound bombs. They'll drop independently thanks to that update. And it has 420 mil cannons. Now, it's going to turn like a bit of a whale. Like, it's got an 18-second turn time. It's not going to be the most mobile thing in the world. But 20 mils you can strafe with, and you can do okay with. And in addition to that, you have your bombs. And the bombs are going to be, well, great. They're 500-pound bombs. As long as you're accurate with them, they should kill whatever you drop them on. Hopefully we hit that. Hey, bye-bye Panzer. And the nice thing is, you can do that one more time without having to go back, or if there's tons of infantry, you can drop them both in one pass, or whatever, right? Like, the world is your oyster. I think I missed that one. Regardless, you get the idea. It's a pretty nifty plane. It's not the most mobile thing in the world. You'll definitely be able to shoot down bombers with it. If you have the drop on an enemy plane, you should be able to kill it because you've got enough firepower. You're just not going to be able to win a turn fight with another plane. And it'll definitely be good against ground targets, which is really what I care about. Moving on from there, we have the Jumbo Rhino. I have this. It's a cool tank. I just don't think I would recommend it anymore. At BR4, it's fine. Like, if you're top tier and you're seeing 3 and 4, it's going to do great. If you're fighting the Japanese, it's probably going to do pretty well. All you have to do is protect your machine gun port, because through there, but as long as you angle and protect that, you're pretty much invulnerable to whatever you're going to see from the front, which is really nice. The problem is, when you play up to BR5, then its usefulness falls off. You're going to have a hard time penning them, even though you get APCR. And they're going to not have such a hard time penning you with, like, Tiger 2Hs and Ho-Ris and Tiger 2Ps. Yeah, Panthers, they might have a little bit of trouble with you in the past. Like, it did okay against Panthers. I don't know, like, it used to be a really good tank. It used to be, like, a very recommended tank of mine, but it's available in the tech tree. Plus, they've got the better version of it now at BR5. I don't know. It looks cool with the sandbags, I'll give it that, but I don't know. I just think it has a hard time surviving because I feel like BR4 sees BR5. At least every BR4 match I've played since the update, we've seen BR5, so yeah, I don't know. That pretty much rounds out our American tree. If I was going to make a lineup for the Americans just based off of like what we have available here, we'd probably have to go for a low BR lineup. We'd probably grab the Winchesters, the Chaffee, and probably the Sten squad. You could go BR3 though, if you had a premium slot. Like a premium squad slot. You could do the Turner SMLE, and then you could do the FP5 and the Churchill. I don't know if that's the route that I would go, though. The Turner SMLE is good. It and the FP5 would be a good, like 2-squad combo. You could do the Sten and the Rising at BR1 and be pretty comfortable. I just don't really like the Rising. Plus, it's basically the one in the tech tree, and the one in the tech tree isn't that great either. Yeah, I mean, you could take the Sten squad, the Engineer squad, and then the Chaffee, or whichever tank you prefer for BR2. That might be an option. I don't know. Again, the problem with America is a lot of their good stuff is for dollar redues, not for gold. Like, the Chinese Thompsons are pretty good. The Marine Raiders aren't available right now. The T-24 is cool. The T-99 is cool. I don't have it, but my buddy Ice does. And he seems to like it. The monitors aren't here, so I don't know. America's not the easiest one to get into. If you didn't mind spending the extra gold, to be honest, you could do the Winchester, the UD squad, and the Chaffee, and that would probably be the ideal lineup. Moving on from there, we have Germany. So, number 1, the Beretta M38 squad. These guys are super top tier, awesome squad, would pick up. I bring them in BR5 games comfortably, if that tells you anything about them. So they're a BR1 squad. They have the Beretta M38, which is in the tech tree. It's like Beretta M38A or whatever. It's basically the same thing. It's a Beretta with 30-round mag. I think the fire rate's really closer to like 660 when it's fully upgraded, but they've got a bayonet, which is nice. So fire rate's good, damage is good, ammo capacity's small, but it works. And the paratrooper box, because the paratroopers will scale with their BR, so at BR5, when you run assault, for example, you're pulling out the brand new top-tier MG81 machine gun that came out in this update right here at the end of the tech tree. So, super nice stuff. I'm not going to show you them because it'll take forever. Well, I guess I will. But I'm only going to show them, like, once. I'm not going to show everything in their box. But if we wanted to go through everything, we'd have to, like, kill off the whole squad and jump in over and over again, and it would take an eternity. So, we'll do it once. Since we're in the training thing, they might also let me see everything in the box, just so I can, you know, show you that I'm not full of shit. Alright, so they don't. But you can see right now they're at, like, their low BR loadout, so they have an AT selection, mortar, recon, whatever, right? You pull out their recon, they'll get MG34s, which is really nice. In my experience, even in like a BR2 game, they still get MG34s, which is really nice. So I recommend them. I like them a lot. This would probably be like my first choice in this tech tree, but you know, we'll get there. We've got the Browning WZ squad. I believe these are the Polish modification of the bar. These have auto and semi-auto. They're really good. It is a legacy premium squad, so you've got 4 guys with the Brownings, and then you have an engineer and an engineer/AT soldier that are equipped like normal tech tree troops. I like them. I know they're full price, but 3,400 is not as bad as 4,500. I really like them, and they're not going to be around for, you know, that long. They're just going to be around for a week. I pretty much run them every time I play Germany at BR3. Like, I know that I'm selling them up, but between the 4 squads that came back, this is the one that I would pick up. I really do like them. Moving on from there, well, actually, you know, I'll show you them. So the thing is, Germany doesn't have, like a good assault machine gun, at BR3. And this fills that role. Like, this is a squad that I haven't, you know, perked out, right? We're just, like, testing the squad. They have whatever they come with by default. Look at how little that gun moves. They're great for rushing trenches, clearing buildings, maneuvering around. They're just an all-around good squad. So I highly recommend them. Anyway, fuck bikes. Moving on from there, you got the Dicker Max. I like the Dicker Max a lot. I think the Dicker Max is a fantastic vehicle. Some people may disagree, but I like the Dicker Max for the same reason that I like the SU-76, and that your crew is relatively well protected in here, despite it being open-topped. Like, yes, people can throw grenades up there. Yes, you can get lit on fire. Flamethrowers, Molotovs, whatever. They're your worst enemy. HVARs missing and hitting near you probably kills some of your guys. Bombs that hit too close might kill some of your guys. It's just the nature of open-top tanks. However, it has 50 mils of armor on the front and like 30 mils to like 20 mils on the turret, and in my experience, it tanks shots that I feel like should kill me, and on top of that, it's got a 105 mil gun that goes through everything that you shoot it at, and the HE does really well at killing infantry. So, I like it. Your mileage may vary, but I recommend it. And I'm saying this as somebody who doesn't like AT platforms for the most part. Like, I don't really like self-propelled guns or tank destroyers. This one is just special, I guess. Like, I kind of got it on a whim a while back because I was like, well, you know, it's a 105 at BR3. That's kind of a big gun, and there's not really anything else like that. Herder, right? And it turned out that I actually do really like it. Moving on from there, we have the Stug 3A at BR2. I would not get this personally. Like, on the one hand, it does have the short 75 and it's still BR2. I want to see if it gets heat still. Okay, it does get heat, so... I mean... Now that they moved most of the short 75s up, it's probably more worth it now than it was before. Because having a short 75 with heat at BR2 is really, really good for killing infantry. It's okay for killing vehicles, but, like, the short 75 kind of sucks against vehicles. But with heat, it does okay against vehicles. But it's good against infantry. The downside is there's no machine gun. So, like, I don't want to recommend it, but because they fucked us and they moved a bunch of the 75 mil shotguns to BR3, I feel like I have to. Moving on from there, there's the Irma EMP. It's a BR2 squad, it's a legacy squad. AT soldier, engineer, come from, you know, the tech tree, get normal weapons, you get the idea. The gun itself is fine. I don't have them, but I've looked at getting them before. It basically seems like it's a different looking MP40. So, if you like MP40s, you'll probably like this. If you don't like MP40s, you probably won't like this. It's certainly a cool gun. It's weird that it loads from the left, but, it's nifty. If you need an assault squad, maybe, but there's probably better options. The BF-110 C6 I've never heard anything good about, and I think it looks like a piece of shit. Like, the skin is fine. The problem is, it only gets a 30mm Mark 101 gun, and nothing else. So, dodge me with that nonsense. Moving on from there, there's the Panzer IIIM. I've only ever heard good things about it. It stayed at BR2 when all the other Panzer III ends went up, so woo. The nice thing is that it has these side skirts, so some of the, like, lower BR demolition projectors and AT projectors probably will have some difficulty at angles. That being said, if they've got a flat side shot, your side skirts probably aren't saving you, so sad times. But the gun is pretty good. It's a 50mm gun. It's the long-barreled 50mm gun, so you can pretty much pen any tank you see. The downside is that it's kind of going to suck against infantry because it's a 50mm. But, it'll do okay. It just won't do as well as the short 75 did. Plus, the crew on it looks pretty cool. Since they all have their little fancy camo uniforms. I don't have it, but I'm considering it since I still have a little bit of gold laying around. Moving on from there, we have the BF-110 G14. I probably wouldn't get this personally. So everything I said before about the P-51 holds true here, in that it's an air superiority fighter, and it's even worse here because you don't even have little grenade bombs to drop on people. You just have your cannons. So it's probably going to suck ass at strafing, because you only have 70 rounds. They're 30 mils, so they might actually be okay at strafing. It's just I wouldn't bet on it. Like the ME-262 has 430 mils, and it's only okay at strafing. So I feel like this probably is less than okay at strafing. Now, for dealing with other planes, it's going to do fine. In War Thunder, it's a little bit more difficult to hit with these because these are low-velocity, short-barreled 30 mils, but in Enlisted you get a nice aiming pipper, so it's kind of hard to miss a lot. The downside is you only have 70 rounds of 30 mil, and this thing's only good at dealing with planes. The upside is that the Americans like to spam planes more than any other nation, so you'll probably always have something to shoot at. It's just not something that I would personally be super interested in. I don't know, there's just a lot of BF-109s available in the tech tree. Moving on from there, I have this squad from when it was in the Elite Starter. It's an MP-18 squad. BR2, 32 round magazines, 600 rate of fire is actually surprisingly good. It's going to be a 4-man squad with 4 assaulters, with an add-on engineer and an add-on engineer/AT soldier. For their price at 438 gold, I don't think that you can get a better value. So if you're just starting out, it's probably worth picking them up just because they cost virtually nothing in gold. They're not bad. They're just nothing special. Yeah, I don't know. Like they don't look special. Their gun's really not that special. Like there are other versions of the MP-18 in the tech tree at like BR1, or I guess it's the MP-28, but like the MP-28 isn't that different. At BR2, you're competing against things like the MP-38, the Beretta M1, the MP-40, but the thing is, you do have fire rate on them, and you have the same amount of ammo. Let me look at the recoil on it. 2915, that's before upgrades, I think, yeah. So, yeah, it's a fine gun. I don't use it that much anymore, but I don't remember ever disliking it in the past. It's just, I'm very ambivalent towards it. Like, it doesn't stand out as like an, ooh, that weapon's cool. It's just, it's there. It's competitive with everything in the tech tree. Like, but for 438 gold, yeah, I'd go for it if I was just starting out. Then we have the Beretta 88. So, this one I'm on the fence about. On the one hand, it's a fat fucking whale. On the other hand, it has 350 cals, and it's got 3 100 kilo bombs, so you can get 3 different drops. So, it might be good. I've test flown it a few times, and it seems okay. It's just, I don't know. In the tech tree, you've got the IAR at BR2 now, which, I mean, that's not great, but you're getting a 250 kilo bomb and 2 50 kilo bombs, and you are actually a decent fighter where that thing turns like a whale. I mean, the stock turn time here is 17 seconds. The upgraded turn time on that, I think, is like 17-ish seconds. So you might be able to get this down a little. So maybe it's not as much better as I feel like it should be, but I like the IAR. Some of the Stukas are pretty good as well. You're going to get 250 kilo bomb and 4 50 kilo bombs on, I think, both of these. I think one of them you can get 20 mils on. The 20 mils are pretty good at taking up planes if you can hit them. I I know it's dumb, but I've always really liked the R2, even though it only gets one bomb, because it gets the 500 kilo bomb, and I like big bombs. So, I don't know. I haven't picked it up, just because it seems like there's so many alternatives in the tech tree that are, like, at best, or not at best, at worst good enough, at best potentially better. I don't know, like, maybe it would surprise me, and maybe it is, like, better than it looks. I just don't think it looks like anything special. I just think it's interesting and Italian, which makes it more interesting to me, but I don't know if it's enough to recommend it. Moving on from there, for 950 we have the Machado Italian Marines. I don't normally like rifleman squads, but I think these guys are really cool. Plus, I just like the M91. The fire rate's not bad. Like 54 is not bad. I think you can get them up to like 60. They've got a 6-round Mannlicher style clip. The downside is they reload as a clip, not individual rounds, so you can't top it up whenever you reload. You reload a whole clip, kind of like an M1 Garand, or the Mannlicher, if you have more experience with that, but most people know the M1 Garand. They look cool, they're short. You get these neat little San Marco daggers, plus they're all dressed up like Italian Marines. So, for a BR1 rifleman squad, I like them. Technically, you can scale them by getting rid of their backpacks and bringing other guns. But, like, it's a rifleman squad, so they're kind of whatever. They're nowhere near as awesome as these paratroopers are. Then we've got the Panzer 38T. And at BR2, it's probably going to be pretty good, given that it's got 50 mils of armor. But you're going to play up to BR2, and BR2 can go right through you. And the 37 is going to be kind of iffy. I don't know. Like, I've heard good things about it in the past from people, but when you're going to be playing up into, like, the Lee and the Grant, or the T-50, I don't know how well it's going to stand up to those. I don't personally have it, but other people have told me that they like it, so do with that as you will. Moving on from there, we have the Gewehr 41. I would probably skip this. They're really cool rifles. Don't get me wrong. They're very, very cool rifles. But it's a BR3 squad. It's a 9-man rifleman squad. They don't get any specialists. You get the Gewehr 41 in the tech tree, which, like, yes, this is a different Gewehr 41. But, like, they're going to perform very similarly, so, yeah, meh. The TZ-45, it's a decent BR3 assault squad. I don't have anything bad to say about them. They used to be a little bit rough horizontally, but I think they recently buffed their horizontal recoil, so they're doing pretty well. They look cool. It's a decent pickup if you need a BR3 assault squad. Moving on from there, Stug 3G. Side skirts look cool, but they don't really do much for you. It's got the same gun as all of the Panzer IVs, basically. It has the downside of not having a machine gun, and it is a hull-locked tank destroyer at the same BR as all of its turreted cousins. So, there's also the Stug 3F in the tech tree, so the Stug 3F is basically going to be like the 3G, but, you know, a little bit worse, arguably. The problem here is that the Panzer F2, the Panzer 4G, the Panzer 4J, the Panzer 4H, all of these exist, and they all have turrets. So, as long as they have turrets and machine guns at the same BR, I will not recommend this. Make this a BR2. I will recommend this. Give it a machine gun, and I'll think about recommending it. But As long as it's at the same BR as its turreted cousins, I will not recommend this. Alright, moving on. We have the Sniper Gewehr 41. This is actually a very cool squad. Now, I think that they have much more value than their Soviet counterparts that we looked at earlier, because there is no counterpart to this in the tech tree. Like, you can get a Sniper Gewehr 43 at BR4, but if you want a sniper squad at BR3, this is it. Like, you have BR2 snipers that are like actual proper snipers. The thing is, and this comes down to like sniper gameplay, even if you're playing at BR5, if you want to be a sniper who just sits in the back and snipes people, just take a BR1 or 2 sniper, right? The semi-auto sniper playstyle is not the playstyle of sitting in like a ruined building in Stalingrad and picking people off. Like, if you're going to pick up this squad, it's because you want a mid-range squad that can attack objectives and push, but still has a scoped rifle so they can reach out and touch people and take out, like, enemy specialists when you see them. But they're not great if you're just going to, like, lay down in the corner and shoot people at, like, 300 yards or whatever. That being said, in my experience, they're alright guns. Like, they could be more accurate, but the way that I play them, I tend to push with them, so they do fine. It's a 5-man squad, 1 engineer, 4 snipers. They look kind of cool with their little cheesecloth face masks. Unfortunately, they have white shit on them, which sucks, but it is what it is. I don't know, I like them. I think that they're unique, and that adds to their value. Their sniper squad, which I inherently value sniper squads, because how else are you going to get 5 snipers in a squad? But I will contend that you could take a tech tree rifleman squad, and yes, you wouldn't have the scopes, but you could probably largely accomplish the same thing. Nice thing is when you're not in the snow, you don't, have white helmets. But yeah, you can see pretty well with the scope, and you do have, well, I guess you don't actually, huh? I feel like you should have the option to scope in without it, but I guess not. But yeah, if it's me playing them, I would play them more aggressively. So, rush your targets, take out guys, down the street, on the corner, whatever, halfway up the building. Their accuracy isn't terrible, though, but sometimes I feel like Gewehr 41s, even these ones, can be kind of iffy. Like, there are shots that I take where I just feel like I should have hit them. Moving on from there, we have the flak bus. The flak bus and I have a difficult relationship. I think it should be a BR3, but Darkflow obviously doesn't agree with me. Look, hear me out. Here's my reasoning. The Dickermax is BR3. I don't think this thing's as good as the Dickermax. Alright, but real talk, it's cool and novel because it's an AA gun, and you can technically shoot down planes with it. It's got, like, an HE shell that's kind of designed for that. It does take out tanks decently well because this is, like, a Flak 37, so it's very similar to, like, the KWK 36 that you find in the Tiger. I think that's just, like, a tankified, like, slightly shrunken, better tank version of this, but its origin comes from this gun. In my experience, it does well at taking out tanks, it does well at taking out infantry. The problem is, you are so open-top, it's not even funny. Like, bomb goes off in your area code, somebody in your crew died. Rocket flies, like, 2 blocks down the road behind you, I'm exaggerating, but somebody in your crew died. Somebody sneezed on a Molotov in Finland while you're in Belarus. somebody in your squad died. So I want to like it. The problem that I see with it is that it's an open-topped tank destroyer with an 88 at a BR where I can get a heavy tank with an 88. And that's just... I don't know. Whenever I bring it out, I have a good time with it. But whether or not that's enough for me to be able to recommend it to somebody, I don't know. Like, if you're gonna get it, definitely take it out for a test drive and make sure it's something that you want. You can definitely have fun with it. And like the HETF, that's the shell I was talking about before, where you can try to take out planes with it. You will find some success with it, you know, if you hit them. It can be a pretty fun vehicle to use. But, I don't know. It definitely looks cool. I'll give you that. And having an 88 is nice, especially if you haven't made it far enough into the tech tree. But, the thing is, when you get to the Tiger 1H, that's a BR4 tank. And, to be honest, I feel like most of the time I'd be happier having a Panther than having the flak bus. So, I don't know. I wouldn't recommend it, but it's a cool enough vehicle that, like, I would never dissuade you from getting it either, because it is really cool, and it can be really fun. I just don't think it's something that I should recommend to people. If they make it a BR3, though, I'll recommend it to everybody. Moving on from there, we have the Focke-Wulf D9. This mirrors the D12 in the tech tree. It's just... Actually, did they even switch roles? I think they're both... I thought that the D12 was an attacker, but it might not be. Anyway, this one's a fighter. See, fighter pilot. Ooh, ah. It gets 8 50-kilo bombs, so you can kind of carpet bomb with this thing. And 50-kilo bombs individually aren't great, but in mass, over an area, they do pretty alright. You can get infantry if you know where they're going to be, or like if there's a point or whatever, because you can kind of saturate the area. It's a pretty good air superiority plane, but it does have its problems. So, on the one hand, there's these, the ME-262s now. On the other hand, it kind of sucks at turning. It's probably not something that I would recommend, personally. Like, it's not bad, it's not terrible. In the past, it was a pretty cool plane. It's just, it's always had a weak elevator, and so it's had trouble pulling up, and it's had trouble turning. And it also falls into the category where it sometimes struggles with the map sizes in Enlisted, because really what you want to do is play this kind of the same way you play the jets, where you use its speed and engine power to extend and whatnot, because you can't turn well. But, that's not that great in Enlisted, partially because of the flight mechanics, partially because of the map sizes. So you can pick it up if you want a high-tier plane. It's just not really that special, in my opinion. Most of the time I think I'd rather have the tech tree one, because it gets the 250 kilo bomb. Moving on from there, there's the Grot 03. I've been looking at these for a really, really long time, and I always was like, I don't know. On the one hand, they're a 9-man rifleman squad, which kind of blows. On the other hand, they have the Grot 03, which I believe is like a 20-round... Yeah, it's a 20-round semi-automatic rifle. And they're BR4 now. There was a time when they were BR5, I believe. And I think they got down-tiered to BR4. and they were in Berlin in the past, but I recently picked them up, actually in this sale, because I had a little bit of gold. So I'll talk about them more after I've gotten to use them. I just think they're going to be cool in a BR4 lineup, and I'm sitting here quietly holding out hope that eventually rifleman squads are going to get a revamp the way that several of the other squads did, and at that point they'll at least get, I don't know, an engineer. Like, if they just got an engineer, that'd be great. If they got an engineer and something else, that'd be even better. But, I don't know. At BR4, I just feel like it might be a fun rifle to use, because you have a 20-round magazine, there's 9 of you with these, and I feel like it's probably better than a Gewehr 43. It might be better than a ZH-29. I'm certainly going to like the sights more, because I don't like the ZH-29 sights, but the ZH-29 hits pretty hard and it's pretty accurate, so we'll see. I probably wouldn't recommend them to other people, just because I don't like recommending 9-man rifleman squads, but I also did just pick them up myself, so, you know, whatever. So moving on from there, we have the Suomi KP-31, and this squad I do highly recommend. On the one hand, Germany has nothing like this in its tech tree, unless you played in Stalingrad, and I imagine that the amount of, like, percentage-wise, the amount of people that have captured PPSH-41s is probably very, very small. So this is really your only way to get something like that. So fully upgraded, they shoot at over 900 rounds a minute. I don't remember exactly how much I was using them yesterday, but I just know it's over 900. They have a 71-round drum mag similar to the PPSH. They're pretty stable, they're pretty fun to use. Having almost 1,000 rounds a minute is pretty nice. Definitely run large ammo bags with them. It is like a Neo Legacy squad, so you're getting 4 assaulters with SMGs, you're getting an engineer with the SMG, and you're getting an add-on AT soldier as a 6th guy, who you have to equip with tech tree stuff. I like them, I think they're great. Now, if I was going to recommend stuff to make squads, I would go for BR1, and I would pick up the Machado M91, the Beretta M38, and maybe the Panzer 38T. Like, that right there is a lineup that you could play nothing but BR1, grind out the whole tech tree, and you'd only be seeing up to BR2 for the most part, because I think there's like a soft lock for BR1 only seeing up to BR2. That probably is the way to go. Like, tier for what's available, that's probably the best you can do. That being said, you could grab the Dicker Max and the TZ45 at BR3. Or at BR2, you could do the Panzer IIIM, the MP18, and the Irma EMP, and that would also be a really good combo. Or you can swap any of the above groups to have the Beretta M38 squad, because even though they're a BR1 squad, they do just fine playing up. It's like I said earlier, this is probably the single best squad available for gold, like BR for BR, in the German tech tree. Like, I bring them into BR5 all the time, and yeah, okay, disadvantage, but not really. Like, their disadvantage is that they have 20-round mags instead of 40-round mags. Remember, until this update, the Beretta M38A with the 40-rounder was BR4, so okay. I don't think you can really make a great, like, BR5 lineup to, like, build around the Suomi. Like, you could get the plane, you could get the Garrote, and you could get the Suomi and, like, play them all at BR5, and it'll be fine. But I would just not pick up the Suomi unless you were already having things at BR5. Like, if you have event squads at BR5, sure, go for it. Or if you have the Krieghoff or whatever, sure, go for it. Or, like, if you're... So, next week, there's probably going to be a sale of the website Dollar Redo bundles, because War Thunder already has dates up for their sale, and I imagine Enlisted's going to follow the same format that the War Thunder sale is. So you could pick up the Swomies and then plan on picking up like the Krieghoff and the half track later on. But I can't say for certain that they're going to do that because, like, I don't know. They may only do a gold sale, and you might just have to wait until like the summer. I really just have no idea. But the Swomy is really good, so do whatever you think is best. But I would try to like form whatever it is you get around a lineup you have in mind. Moving on from there, let's look at Japan. So, pretty sure that's website stuff. That's not on sale. So there's the Type 1 Ho-Ha squad. Half tracks are awesome. This is probably the best bang for your buck in the Japanese tech tree. So half tracks are BR2 across the board, except for one. But basically all of the premium ones are BR2. And if you pick them up, they come with guys that you can swap their gear out. So you can scale them from BR2 to BR5. So BR2, 3, 4, 5. You can equip them with whatever you want. You even have choices in how you outfit the squad. So normally what I run is a driver, 2 assaulters, 2 machine gunners, and an AT soldier. But you can swap any one of those except for the driver out for a radio operator. It's just up to you. So I like them. At 1,600 gold, that's a pretty good deal. 'Cause, half off. But this is the squad I would pick up. Moving on from there, there's the Chi-He. I do not have the Chi-He. It gets APHE, it gets HE. I don't know. Most of the Japanese premium tanks are kind of iffy. There's only one in particular that I've had recommended to me before, and that is the Chi-Ha, and that's because the Chi-Ha has heat. So you could potentially get the Chi-He, and you might be satisfied with it. It's probably just not the route that I would go, personally. Like 50 mils of armor is okay at BR2. The 47's probably going to do fine against the Americans, but The Arasakas are back. I like these guys. I think they're pretty cool. The site is offset, so, beware of that when things are close to you. But I've never had any issues running them before. It's a bolt-action sniper. As long as you know where the rounds are hitting on the site, and you understand how to use the site, it does what every other bolt-action sniper does, so I like them. They kind of look like bush Wookiees, which is fun. You can kind of take cover, just make sure you don't silhouette yourself. 4 snipers, 1 engineer with a sniper rifle, so 5 snipers in total. It's a pretty okay squad. The downside is they're almost 3,000 gold, and they're tier for tier, like weapon for weapon, not as good as the German squad with the bars. Moving on from there, Type 100 Paratrooper squad. They're not real paratroopers, they're medics. I like their guns. I've always had fun with them, but they're a medic squad, so I don't really recommend them. But they're the only option you have if you want something tier 1, and they play fine in tier 2 and tier 3, so you can go that route. I just don't really care for them. I don't know. These guys don't show, are they on the website? Yeah, they're on the website. They just don't show the pricing there for whatever reason. The Type Co squad. I have these guys. They're pretty nifty. I'm gonna be honest, I mostly got them because of the way the squad looks. I love their jackets. I think they look really cool. BR3, they have a decent rifle. They just moved the Type 4 rifle down to BR3, but if you're progressing the tech tree, then this squad might have more value to you. Originally, they were a 4-man engineer squad. Now you can add the 5th guy on as an AT soldier. So, if you're at BR3 and you want a squad, they're cool. Moving on, the Key 61I He. I believe this is the one with the German guns. Yeah, it's got 20mm MG 151s. This is actually a really good plane. So it's got pretty good turn time. It's relatively fast, but the real thing that I like it for is it's got 200 kilo bombs. And on a fighter, that's enough that you should be able to kill guys pretty easily. All of the buildings, for the most part, in the Pacific maps, like at least in the Guadalcanal maps, are really thin, and so bombs just kill people. There's not a whole lot of real cover. In Burma, there's more real cover, so it might not be as effective there, but traditionally in Guadalcanal, I've seen these do really well. And I like the tech tree one, but I don't have this one in particular. At BR3, there's the Zero. This is the analog to the FP3 for the Americans. This one gets 260 kilo bombs and a drop tank. I don't like this one anywhere near as much as the American one. This is more of a fighter than it is an attack plane, which is why I don't like it as much. The 60 kilo bombs aren't really going to do much. They'll do enough, but like they're tiny. And the fuel tank is the same as the other one. So you drop it, it's like a big Molotov. It's more for area denial than actually blowing people up and killing them. It's going to do fine as like an air-to-air combat plane, like shooting down other planes, and you're fighting the Americans, so they're going to have tons of planes, so you'll probably have something to do most of the time if you do get it. I just don't like it recommending fighters that aren't good at killing things on the ground, and I don't think this is good at killing things on the ground. So that pretty much rounds everything out. I can't recommend a lineup here because there's just not enough stuff. Like, at BR1, get the medics, I guess. At mid-tier, get the Ho-Ha and the Type Co, and make a BR3 lineup out of it. Okay, fine. You can do the Zero, you can do the Type Co, and you can do the Type 1 Ho-Ha, and you have a BR3 lineup. Technically, you can do the Ho-Ha, the Chi-Hi, and the Sniper Squad, and you can have a BR2 lineup, but I don't know how fun that would be since you don't have any, like normal assault squads or anything you can just throw at the enemy. You've got the APC squad, but I don't know. If it were me, and I was just, I'm going to make a premium lineup, I need 3 things, and I want to grind, right? I would do the Ho-Ha, the Type Co, and the A6 M3. So let me know what you think down below. Let me know what you've picked up. Let me know what you disagree with me with, because I'm sure that some people disagree with some of my ideas here. I am not the ultimate authority. I just have played this a lot, and I don't know. I have a lot of anecdotal experience to call upon and recommend the way that I would play, but the way I play and the way you play may not be the same thing, so what I value and what you value may be very different. Like, I'll give you an example. I like pushing in my tanks. I know it gets me killed. You may like sitting in the gray zone, and so open hull tank destroyers may appeal to you more than me. You may like shooting down planes and flying cap more than you like hitting things on the ground, so having a fighter that's really, really good at fighting other planes and doesn't do shit against the ground targets, that might be a huge plus to you. But to me, it's not so much, because I like to be able to do more than just shoot at other planes. So, you get the idea. As per usual, get out there, kick ass, take names, and win your games.